Welcome back to Learn English with Sam and Lily. Today I have something special for you, another English listening level test. This time, every story is about travel. You will hear short stories from A1 to C2. Each story becomes more difficult, with new vocabulary, more complex grammar, and more advanced ideas. Your job is simple. Listen carefully, stay relaxed, and see which level feels comfortable for you. The moment you start getting lost, that's your real level. And remember, being honest with yourself is the best way to grow. No ego, no pressure, only understanding. Take a deep breath, sit comfortably. Let's begin. A1 is the simplest level, so if you're a beginner, don't worry. You'll start with a very easy travel story. If this feels too easy, that already means your level is higher. Ready? Here we go.
My name is Leo. I am from Brazil. Last month, I took a short trip to the beach. It was my first time traveling alone. I woke up early in the morning and packed my bag. I put in my clothes, my phone, my charger, my hat, and my sunglasses. I bought a small bottle of water and a sandwich. Then I took a bus to the beach. The weather was sunny and warm. I walked on the sand, took pictures, and ate ice cream. I played in the water for a little bit. I stayed there for 3 hours and then went home. It was a simple day, but I was very happy. I want to do it again soon.
If this story felt easy to understand, your level is at least A1 or higher. If not, that's okay. Every journey starts somewhere. Let's move to A2. A2 stories are longer, more connected, and more detailed. If the next story feels comfortable, you're probably A2 or higher. Listen carefully to how the story flows.
My name is Sarah, and last weekend I went on a short trip to a nearby city with my cousin. We didn't want to go far, so we chose a place that was only 2 hours away by train. On Saturday morning, we bought our tickets, found our seats by the window, and watched the countryside pass by. When we arrived, we checked in at a small hotel near the center. The city was quiet but beautiful, with colorful houses and many small cafes. We walked around the streets, visited a local market, and tried some traditional food. I bought a handmade bracelet as a souvenir. In the evening, we went to a viewpoint that showed the whole city. The lights looked amazing. The next day, we explored a museum and took many photos. It was a simple trip, but it helped me relax and forget about work for a while.
If you understood the main idea of this story, you're at least A2. If it felt natural and clear, you might be higher. Now it's time for B1, where stories become more detailed and emotional. Let's keep going. B1 stories include more explanations, reasons, and feelings. The grammar becomes richer and vocabulary becomes more varied. If you can follow this easily, congratulations, you're already independent in English. Let's listen.
My name is Daniel, and last year I decided to travel to the mountains alone for the first time. I had been feeling stressed from work, and I needed a break from my daily routine. A friend recommended a small town known for its hiking trails, and I thought it was exactly what I needed. I booked a small cabin near a lake and planned everything a week in advance. When I arrived, the air felt fresh and clean, completely different from the noisy city. On my first day, I walked along a long trail that led to a waterfall. The hike wasn't very difficult, but it took a few hours. Along the way, I saw birds, trees, and beautiful views that made me slow down and appreciate the moment. At night, I sat outside my cabin, drank hot tea, and listened to the sound of nature. I realized how important it is to disconnect from technology sometimes. The trip helped me return home with more energy and a clearer mind.
If you followed this story without losing the meaning, you're at least B1. If it felt almost as easy as the A2 story, your level might be higher. Let's move to B2, where language becomes more expressive and reflective. B2 stories are richer, deeper, and more narrative. People express motivation, change, conflict, and personal growth. Listen carefully to see how much detail you can handle.
My name is Anya, and 2 years ago, I went on a trip that completely changed the way I see the world. I had always wanted to visit Northern Europe, especially the countries known for their cold weather and unique landscapes. I saved money for almost a year, and when I finally had enough, I booked a 2-week trip that included Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Before leaving, I was nervous. I had never traveled so far alone, but I was also excited. When I arrived in Oslo, everything felt different. The air, the architecture, the people's behavior. I spent the first few days visiting museums and walking through the streets, trying new foods and learning about the culture. But the moment that changed me happened on the 6th day, when I took a night train to northern Sweden. I wanted to see the northern lights, something I had dreamed about since childhood. The train ride felt magical. The windows showed forests covered in snow, and the silence outside felt endless. When I finally arrived and joined a small group tour, the guide told us we might not see the lights because the weather was uncertain. But after waiting in the freezing cold for almost an hour, the sky suddenly opened. Green, purple, and blue lights began to dance above us. I felt something I can't fully describe. Peace, wonder, and a strange feeling that I was connected to everything around me. When I returned home, I realized I had become braver. I understood myself more, and I promised I would continue exploring the world no matter how scared I felt before going.
If this story was clear for you, congratulations. Your English is at least B2. Now, we are moving to C1. C1 stories are complex, full of nuance, deeper reflections, long ideas, and advanced vocabulary. They talk about people, relationships, culture, growth, and life. Listen closely.
My name is Khalid, and last autumn I traveled across 3 countries for a project that combined work, personal growth, and cultural exploration. I work as an urban planner, and I was invited to attend a series of workshops in Japan to study how traditional cities balance modern technology with cultural preservation. For years, I had admired Japan's ability to keep ancient traditions alive while still staying at the front end of innovation. This trip offered me the chance to not only observe, but truly understand this balance. My journey began in Kyoto, a city where temples coexist with modern cafes and small shops led by families who have been running them for generations. Every morning, I walked to the workshop building through streets filled with slow-moving bicycles, school children in uniforms, and elderly people who seemed to know everyone around them. Inside the workshop, people from various countries shared ideas about urban spaces, cultural identity, and sustainability. Hearing professionals from completely different backgrounds forced me to rethink my assumptions about cities. It made me realize how much our environments shape our behaviors, our relationships, and even our sense of time. One evening, after a long day of intense discussions, I visited a small traditional tea house recommended by one of the local architects. I expected a quick stop, but instead I experienced a session that lasted more than an hour. The tea master performed each step with calm intention, warming the cup, preparing the matcha, pouring it, and presenting it with a quiet bow. The simplicity of the moment made me reflect on how rarely I slow down in my daily life. Travel often teaches us things quietly, not through dramatic moments, but through subtle shifts in perspective. When I returned home, my approach to work had changed. I became more patient, more observant, and more aware of the invisible stories a city carries.
If this level felt comfortable, you are likely at C1. Now prepare for C2. C2 is extremely advanced. The story becomes symbolic, abstract, philosophical, and emotionally layered. The language is no longer just complex, It carries meaning through subtle metaphor, rhythm, and perspective. Listen carefully and take your time.
My name is Elena, and a few months ago, I embarked on a journey that was less about visiting a place and more about confronting the quiet corners of my own mind. I traveled to a remote island in the Mediterranean, a place without cars, where the highest sound at night was the gentle movement of the sea against the rocks. I didn't choose this island randomly. I had reached a point in my life where I felt overwhelmed, not by events, but by the unspoken expectations I carried inside myself. I wanted silence, not as an escape, but as a mirror. From the moment I stepped off the small boat that brought me there, I could feel the island's emptiness asking questions I had avoided answering. The paths were narrow and irregular, shaped not by design, but by years of footsteps that came before mine. Every morning, I walked those paths without a map, letting the island decide where I should arrive. Sometimes I ended up by abandoned stone houses, sometimes on cliffs where the wind felt older than language itself. On the fourth day, I climbed a hill just before sunset. The sky had begun shifting into colors that didn't seem content to belong to just one name. Orange slipping into rose, rose dissolving into gold. As the light changed, I felt something inside me dissolve as well. It wasn't sadness, nor joy, nor clarity. It was more like noticing that the boundaries I thought were solid were only lines drawn in soft sand. In that moment, travel stopped being movement. It became listening, listening to the space between thoughts, the part of myself that rarely speaks because the world is always too loud. I realized that the purpose of travel is not to escape life, nor to decorate memory with beautiful places. Its purpose is to return us to ourselves, more honest, more awake, more willing to see the world without the filter of who we think we should be. When I finally left the island, the world looked the same, and yet nothing inside me was unchanged.
If you understood the nuances of this story, the symbolic meaning, the emotional layers, the introspective tone, then your English is truly near native or native. That means you were already capable of understanding almost any kind of English content. No matter which level you reached, remember this: language learning is not a race, it's a journey, and every journey has its own rhythm. The important thing is that you continue listening, reading, speaking, and challenging yourself. The more you listen, the more you grow. If today's test helped you, let me know your level in the comments. And if you want more listening tests like this, tell us what topics you want next. This is Learn English with Sam and Lily. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next lesson.